The Russo compound doesn't look like power. It looks like old money pretending to be quiet iron gates, manicured hedges, a fountain that hasn't been turned off in 11 years because Vinny's father never learned how to sit still, even in stone. Vinny stands at his study window, watching two black cars roll up the drive. He's known since he was 19. This day was coming, the day the Callahan-Russo alliance stops being a conversation between fathers and starts being a woman standing in his living room. The doors open. Elena walks in, first poised, expensive, already bored, beautiful the way a blade is beautiful. You admire it before you remember what it's for. Behind her, a woman he wasn't told about. Dark jacket, no jewelry, eyes already mapping the room's exits before she's finished counting the guests. She doesn't introduce herself. She doesn't need to. "This is Vera," Elena says, not looking at her. "My father insisted. Apparently I can't be trusted to survive dinner without a babysitter." Vera says nothing. Her face doesn't move. But Vinny catches it the smallest flicker, gone in half a second. Discipline. "Miss Callahan, welcome to the family, I suppose." Elena's smile doesn't reach her eyes. "We'll see." He doesn't say anything to Vera. There's no protocol for the bodyguard. He simply extends a hand. She takes it, firm, brief. Her grip doesn't soften for him the way everyone else's does. He lets go a half-second later than he means to. Neither of them mentions it. He will think about that handshake more than he wants to admit. "Before we start, drop a comment and tell me where in the world you're watching this from tonight. I want to see how far this story travels. Now, let's begin." Dinner is the kind of event where the silverware costs more than most people's rent, and nobody at the table has said anything true in 20 minutes. Vera stands behind Elena's chair, the only person in the room actually watching the room instead of watching herself be watched. Elena breaks first. "Vera, refill my water. You're standing right there doing nothing useful anyway." The table tightens. Vinny's fork stops halfway to his mouth. Vera crosses, fills the glass, says nothing. Her face is a locked door. Elena isn't done. "It must be strange." She continues, to the table now, "having a job where your entire purpose is being disposable." "No offense, Vera. It's just practical, isn't it?" "Elena." Vinny's voice, low. "What?" "I'm making conversation." "You're making a point. Different things." He watches Vera set the pitcher down and step back and for the first time actually looks at her, not the bodyguard. The woman underneath, the sharp line of her jaw, the way she holds herself like something dangerous and composed at once. Beautiful in a way that has nothing to do with performance, which is exactly why he almost missed it. Everyone else at this table is dressed to be seen. She's dressed for survival, and somehow that's louder. He catches himself staring too long and looks back at his plate. Then he notices the tell not in her face, in her hands. The pitcher's handle, gripped a fraction too tight before she sets it down. Knuckles pale for exactly 2 seconds. Not anger. Control. Vinny didn't miss it. He's starting to realize he doesn't miss much when it comes to her. It isn't the first time. It won't be the last. Anyone who's spent an afternoon around Elena Callahan learns fast that her cruelty toward people beneath her isn't a mood, it's a habit, worn smooth from years of never once being told no. The month before, at her father's country club, she had a valet fired for parking her car too close to the hedges without ever asking his name. 2 weeks after that, a concierge in Milan spent 40 minutes rebooking her suite over the wrong pillow density while she scrolled her phone in the lobby, not glancing up once he'd finished apologizing. Her own household staff have a name for the look she gives them right before she complains to someone in charge, the countdown, because it means their job has 30 seconds left to matter to her. So when it happens again at a private dinner for both families at one of the city's oldest restaurants, nobody who knows her is surprised. Vinny is starting to be. The waiter, older, silver-haired, 30 years into the job, sets down the wrong wine. A small, honest mistake. Elena doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. Do you know what this bottle costs? Obviously not, or you wouldn't be pouring it for the wrong table like some kind of amateur. She looks him up and down like he's a stain on the tablecloth. Is this genuinely the best this restaurant could find, or did they just need a body? He apologizes, takes the bottle, walks away smaller than when he arrived. Later, when a young busser clears her plate a beat too early, she doesn't even look at him. Careful. She says, to the table, not to him. Some of them really do think they're invisible. The boy's face goes red. He's been trained not to answer back. Vinny's jaw tightens. He's used to cruelty aimed up at rivals, at threats, not down, over and over, at people who can't fight back without losing their livelihood. He notices it's never once aimed at anyone who could hurt her back. Vera watches without a flicker. She's seen this performance a dozen times in a dozen cities. But on the way out, she quietly presses a folded bill into the waiter's hand and murmurs something too low to hear. He nods, grateful. Vinny sees it, says nothing, files it away with everything else he started collecting about her. 3 weeks before the wedding, leaving a Callahan Russo charity gala, the three of them cutting across the open plaza toward the cars, the first shot cracks through the night. It isn't a warning. It's aimed, deliberate, timed for the half-second Elena steps from behind a pillar to check her phone. It should have taken her in the throat. Vera moves before the sound finishes echoing off the stone. No shout, no time for one. She closes the distance in under a second and drives Elena down and sideways, both of them hitting the ground as the second round splinters marble exactly where Elena's head had been a heartbeat earlier. A third shot goes wide as Vera returns fire toward the rooftop. 2 rounds, controlled, then silence. Whoever pulled the trigger is already gone. 11 seconds. That's all it takes for someone to try to end Elena Callahan's life in front of 200 witnesses. And for the woman she mocks over water glasses to put her own body between the bullet and a girl who's never once said her name with respect. Elena is on the ground, gasping, a thin line of blood on her cheek from marble shrapnel, not the bullet, not this time. Vinny freezes for 1 full second, long enough to feel his own uselessness, before he's crouched beside them, hands shaking in a way he'll deny later. Are you hurt? He asks. He means Elena. His eyes are on Vera. I'm fine, Vera says, already back on her feet, weapon raised. Sweeping the rooftops, breathing steady, in a way that makes clear this isn't the first time someone's tried to kill the person she's paid to protect. Just the first time it's come this close. That night, alone in his study, Vinny doesn't think about how close his family came to burying Elena instead of marrying her to him. He thinks about the half-second before the second shot, the way Vera didn't hesitate, didn't calculate, didn't weigh whether the woman on the ground deserved saving. She just moved. He starts finding reasons to be near her. A security briefing that could have been an email becomes a 15-minute conversation in the hallway. He tells himself it's gratitude. It isn't. The wedding cake tasting is scheduled for 4 o'clock, 12 tiers laid out on white linen, a planner with a clipboard, a chair left empty where the bride should be sitting. Elena cancels an hour before, over text, no explanation beyond a headache emoji. Then a second text, addressed to Vera, not Vinny. Go for me, pick whatever. I genuinely do not care, and it'll look bad if no one from our side shows up. So Vera goes not as a guest, but because it's still the job. She's Elena's bodyguard, not Vinny's, and technically has no business here without Elena in it, but an unattended Callahan Russo function is a security gap neither father wants explained. She stands at the edge of the room, waiting for it to be over. It's Vinny who pulls out the second chair. You don't have to sit, but you also don't have to stand guard over a cake tasting. Force of habit. Sit, anyway. She does, carefully, like the chair might be a trap. 12 slices go by in near silence. Hazelnut, lemon. Something soaked in espresso until the planner steps out, and it's just the two of them and a table of cake meant for someone who couldn't be bothered to taste it herself. "You always this careful?" he asks, "even at a cake tasting?" "Careless people don't last in this line of work." A small, almost smile. "This is what careful looks like when there's nothing to be careful about." It surprises a laugh out of him, short, real, nothing like the charm he uses at family events. "Can I ask you something?" he says. "Why do you let her talk to you like that? You just take it." Something behind Vera's expression shifts, a door opening a crack. "Because my job isn't to be liked, it's to keep her breathing. The day I start caring what she thinks of me is the day I stop doing my job right." That's not an answer. That's a deflection. She looks at him directly for the first time all afternoon. "Careful, Mr. Russo. Keep talking to me like that, and I'll start thinking you actually want to know." Maybe I do. The room goes quiet, in a different way, charged, aware. "You're getting married in 5 weeks, she says. Not cold, just true." "I know." "Then that's the answer you already have." She's on her feet before the planner returns, walls rebuilt, telling him to go with the lemon because it's the least offensive, which isn't an opinion, just an exit. Vinny sits there a long time, staring at a half-eaten slice of cake, understanding exactly what he felt across that table, and not knowing what he intends to do about it. Elena notices before anyone says a word the way Vinny's eyes track Vera across a room instead of staying on his coffee. The way, at the tailor's, he asks Vera's opinion on a jacket like Elena isn't standing 3 feet away holding swatches for her own dress. That night, in the car home, she doesn't yell. She's smarter than that. "You like her?" "Not a question." "I don't know what you're talking about." Flat, unbothered, the same voice he uses on men asking about shipments that don't exist. A good lie. He's had a lifetime of practice on people who matter less than the truth. "You're a terrible liar for a man who runs a criminal empire." "I'm not lying. I haven't looked at her twice." Smoother than the first lie, delivered without so much as a change in his breathing. He almost believes it himself. Elena stares out the window, unconvinced but unable to prove it. "It's almost embarrassing, watching you do it so badly." "Do what, exactly?" "Notice the woman whose job is to stand in every room we're both in." "I don't even care that you're attracted to her. I care that you think it matters. Whatever you feel or don't, since apparently you feel nothing doesn't change what happens in 5 weeks. Nothing's changing, he says, and means it, or means to, or has said it enough times tonight. The difference has started to blur. Don't call her the help then, if she means nothing to you. I never said that. You corrected me for it once. You've never corrected me for anything else I've said about anyone in this house. He has no clean lie for that one, so he says nothing at all, which is somehow worse than a bad answer. Interesting, Elena says quietly. You'll lie to my face about everything else. You went quiet on that. She doesn't bring it up again. She doesn't need to. Alone in his study afterward, Vinny can lie to Elena, to his father, to a room full of men who'd kill him for the truth he's built his life on, making nothing's changing believable. He cannot say it to himself. He sits with that a long time. Denial only works on other people. Somewhere in the last 2 months, a woman who was never supposed to matter has become the one thing he can't talk himself out of. He doesn't say it out loud, but he knows it now the way he knows the layout of his own house. It's no longer a question of if, only of what he's willing to burn to keep it. Elena's cruelty toward Vera sharpens after that night, smaller, colder, more precise, every jab aimed with a second target 3 feet away. Watching Vinny's face for a reaction he's gotten very good at not giving. The wedding is 2 weeks away, and the house has gone quiet the way houses do right before something breaks. Vinny finds Vera on the east balcony past midnight, off duty for the first time in weeks, still watching the grounds like she's working even when she isn't. You should be asleep, he says. So should you. Big day coming. Vera. Whatever wall she keeps up is thinner tonight. worn down by weeks of proximity neither of them asked for. "Don't," she says quietly. "Whatever you're about to say, don't. You don't know what I'm about to say. I know exactly what you're about to say, and I know it doesn't matter, because in 2 weeks you're marrying someone else." Her voice stays level, strain underneath it now. "I took this job to protect people, not to fall for a man about to put a ring on someone else's hand." The word lands between them, fall, and neither moves to take it back. "I don't want to marry her," Vinny says. "That's not the same as not marrying her." He steps closer, close enough that the distance means something. She doesn't step back, which is its own answer. "If you touch me right now," she says quiet, "we can't undo it." "I know." "I'm serious, Vinny. His name, not his title the first time she's ever used it. So ask yourself if this is worth what it costs." He doesn't have an answer ready. That's the problem. Below them, a light flicks on in the east wing. Elena's already at her window, has been for 2 minutes, watching 2 silhouettes stand closer than they should. She doesn't storm out. She goes back to bed and starts planning something far more precise than jealousy. On the balcony, Vera steps back first, putting air between them before anything happens that can't be walked back. "Go to sleep, Mr. Russo," she says, walls rebuilding in real time. She walks past him without touching him. It costs her more than either of them says out loud. 9 days out, a final venue walk through Vinny, Elena, Vera, 2 guards trailing when the first shot cracks through the courtyard and takes out the window behind Elena's head. Everything after happens in under 11 seconds. Vera moves before the second shot fires, not toward cover but toward Elena, driving her down behind the stone fountain hard enough to bruise. By the 3rd and 4th rounds, both of them are flat against granite, taking the impact instead of flesh. Vinny's guards drag him the opposite direction. His last clear image before the door shuts is Vera, crouched low, weapon out, scanning the tree line with a calm that has nothing to do with the chaos around her. It's over in 90 seconds, a rival family's warning shot, sloppy and desperate, close enough to what it could have been that it doesn't matter what it was supposed to be. When Vinny gets outside, Elena is upright against the fountain, shaking, unhurt. Vera is beside her, jacket torn, a graze along her forearm she hasn't acknowledged, still scanning the perimeter. "You're bleeding," Vinny says, crossing to her fast. "It's nothing." "Vera, check on Elena. That's the priority." "Elena's fine. You put yourself between her and 4 rounds. Twice now." He crouches in front of her, not caring who's watching, and takes her arm gently, examining the graze a touch that has nothing to do with checking a wound. Behind them, still on the ground, Elena watches it happen in real time, the tenderness, the fear in Vinny's voice that never once showed up for her, and something in her expression goes very still. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't have to. That night, she makes a phone call she's been putting off for weeks, to a man whose name doesn't belong anywhere near hers. It starts as protocol, not suspicion. After the shooting, every close protection routine tightens, routes remapped, patterns logged. It's Vera's job to know where her principal is at all times, nothing to do with Vinny. Except the numbers stop lining up. A car that drops Elena 2 blocks from where she says she's going. A phone that goes dark for 90-minute windows no one on the detail can account for. A driver quietly paid extra to not log certain stops. She follows it once, telling herself it's still due diligence, and finds Elena outside a private members club, stepping into the arms of a man who is very much not her fiancé. Vera doesn't take a photograph, doesn't confront her. Says nothing to anyone because it isn't a security matter, because it isn't her place, because some smaller, more honest part of her doesn't trust her own reasons for wanting Vinny to know. She's still telling herself she'll sit with it a while longer when Vinny finds out without her having said a word. It happens by accident. Elena leaves her phone on the counter while she takes a call from the caterer, screen up, and a message preview lights up before Vinny means to look a name he doesn't recognize. A line too intimate for wedding logistics. He doesn't confront her, not yet. A man who runs an empire on information doesn't act on a single message he verifies. He puts Salvatore on her. The one man who's been with the family longer than Vinny's been alive. It takes 3 days. The report comes back quiet, the way these always do. A location, a time, one line, confirmed. The same man, the same restaurant, always the same private room reserved under a name that isn't hers. He goes himself, no warning, no entourage. He finds Elena mid-kiss, leaning across a candlelit table into a man who isn't him, in a room built for the sole purpose of never being seen. She spots him in the doorway before the other man does. Everything in her face collapses at once, not guilt, something faster than that. She's on her feet, both hands up, already talking. Vinny, wait, let me explain. It was a mistake. One time, it meant nothing. He doesn't say a word, just looks at her the way he'd look at a stranger, and turns to leave. That's when the apology dies mid-sentence. Her spine straightens. Whatever softness was in her face folds itself back into the woman who's never once had to explain herself to anyone. No, she says, voice gone flat, the old cruelty sliding back into place. I'm not standing here apologizing to a man who spent 2 months falling for his fiancé's bodyguard right in front of her. You want to talk about mistakes? Let's talk about mistakes. This isn't about her, isn't it? I've been performing a marriage with a man who checked out the second she walked into your father's study. At least I had the decency to do this somewhere no one would find out. You've been doing it in plain sight, in front of every guard in the house, and you don't even see it. That's not the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. You just get to feel superior about yours. She studies him. How long did you have me followed? 3 days. Careful, Mr. Russo. That's almost romantic, coming from you. A pause. She never said anything, did she? Vera. Why would Vera know? Her laugh turns quieter, tired. Because that woman notices everything in this house except the things that would help her. Ask her yourself. She reaches for her wine, hand steady. Here's what happens now. You call off the wedding, publicly, on your terms, before my father hears it from someone crueler than you. Go home, Vinny. This doesn't need to finish in a restaurant. He leaves without another word. Behind him, the private room door closes again, the same door built to keep this exact moment from ever happening in front of anyone who mattered. It didn't work. Elena gets home first. She finds Vera in the hallway, already sensing something's wrong. You did this, she says, before Vera can even ask. Ever since you walked into that house, he's been looking at you instead of me. You think I don't know whose idea it was to start paying attention? Vera doesn't move, doesn't raise her voice. I never told him anything. Whatever's between you and Vinny broke on its own, long before I had anything to do with it. Don't stand there and act innocent. I'm not innocent. An edge now. I'm not going to pretend I don't feel something for him. I do, and I've known it for weeks. But that's not why your engagement is over. You kissed another man in a room you paid to keep hidden. That's yours, not mine, not his. If you want someone to blame, look at the person who was actually in that room. The silence that follows is worse than shouting. Get out of my house, Elena says finally, quiet and precise, effective now. Understood. Vera doesn't argue. She turns and walks to her room to pack no scene, no drama, just the job, even at the end of it. She's at the bottom of the drive, bag over her shoulder, when headlights sweep across the hedges. Vinny's car comes up too fast and stops hard enough to kick gravel when he sees her on foot. He's out before the engine's off. You're leaving. Elena fired me 10 minutes ago. It was always going to end with me walking out that gate one way or another. You knew, he says, catching up to her, about her, before I did. That stops her. For about a week. You didn't tell me. No. Why not? She finally looks at him. Because it wasn't a security matter, and it wasn't mine to hand you. Because I couldn't trust my own reasons for wanting to be the one to tell you, harder to get out than anything before it. I didn't want to be the woman who ended your engagement so I could have you. I wanted you to find your own way to the truth, even if it meant watching you marry her without ever knowing. That's not loyalty. That's a different kind of lying. Maybe. I've had a week to decide if you're right. I still don't have an answer. What if I offered you a different contract? Careful, Mr. Russo. I mean it. Not as protection, not as an employee. He closes the distance. No hesitation left. I spent my whole life being good at exactly what my family needed me to be. I'd like to spend the rest of it being bad at it, if it means being with you instead. She doesn't answer with words. She drops the bag in the gravel and closes the last of the distance herself, the first move she's ever made toward him, and kisses him like she's been waiting far longer than either of them admitted out loud. High above, a light is already on in the east wing. Elena stands at her window, arms crossed, watching the whole thing unfold in the driveway she's stood in 100 times, pretending not to care about anything below her. She doesn't look away, she doesn't cry, she just watches until there's nothing left to see but the shape of a life that was never going to be hers, walking out the gate with someone else. Behind Vinny and Vera, the sound of a family's careful world coming apart at the seams. Ahead of them, nothing certain, no alliance, no protection, no guarantee any of this survives what's coming. Just two people who finally stopped performing loyalty to everyone except each other. And that's where we leave them for now, because breaking an arranged pact between two crime families doesn't end with a kiss in a driveway. It ends with consequences. If you want to see what happens when Vinny's father, the Callahans, and everyone with a stake in that broken alliance come looking for answers, comment below and tell me, does this story deserve a part 2?